Hi folks, it's Evo here from Thundermist Lure Company. So glad to see you and welcome to today's episode of Thundermist Fishing Tips. I am out here, folks, fishing the mighty lower Niagara River. It's the month of September, and today, folks, I'm looking for salmon. And it's amazing to think, just 3 months ago I was in Alaska fishing for salmon, and here I am now in Niagara fishing for salmon. And what I'm using today, I'm using the Stingeye Spinner. And I went with the gold. I brought all colors, of course, but I probably won't use the silver unless the sun comes out. But between the gold, the chartreuse, and the black, I'll definitely maybe mix up between those colors. But I'm going to open up with the gold. And like I say, it is September. Once the winds start to change and the weather starts to change, you start to get the nice rain happening and a little bit of the cooler nights. It drives those salmon from the lake into the rivers. And I'm hoping to trigger one to bite today. You see it picking up a little bit of weed. You want to keep your lure always clean of any debris. But I'm hoping that nice big eyeball on the Stingeye, folks, is going to help trigger a bite today and see if I can entice one of these salmon into hitting, because they're moving into the rivers to spawn. They're not really in the feeding mode, so you got to trigger that bite, and that's what I'm hoping to do today. It's a gorgeous day. The sun's supposed to come out a little later, but for right now, I'm opening up with the gold and see if I can trigger a hit or two, so stay tuned, folks. So glad you could join me. There's a hit, folks. There was a nice hit. Oh, and he's running and gunning. Hold on for dear life. It doesn't even look like a big one. Oh, it's strong. Very strong, folks. Nice solid hit. Ended up coming up on this rock instead of fishing down by it, because what happens down here, if you've never fished in the river, the hydro plays with the water a little bit. At nighttime they reserve it, and then in the morning they open up the gates. Oh, actually it's not bad at all. I thought it was a little smaller. It looks like a decent fish. Yeah, so I decided to come up on this rock. It allowed me actually to cast out even a little bit further, gave me a little more leverage. Oh, this looks like a nice fish, folks. Wow. It's not an Alaska salmon, but I'll tell you, it's every bit as strong. Oh, he's gunning. This is unbelievable fishing, folks. I'm using the medium action rod. Medium's a good action rod to run for salmon. You could get away with a medium light, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it because you need a little bit of hook setting power. I'm going to use this rock to my advantage because it's hard to see, but there's a lot of rocks down here and boulders, and actually that's a nice sized salmon, folks. So you could easily lose these fish in these rocks. It's not hard to do. They get wrapped around the line and that's it. Now, the other thing I'm doing, folks, I am running braided line today with a fluorocarbon leader, of course. Now, I don't necessarily like to use braid, as you know, when I'm casting, because when you go to set the hook, you could rip that lure right out of the fish's mouth. You gotta wait a second or two before you set the hook when you're using braid. So that's kind of the disadvantage. But the advantage is I could pack a lot of line on this reel without having to put on a great big reel. So I could use a smaller reel and still get on a lot of braided line, because braided line, folks, is so much thinner. So much thinner, and you can get a lot more line on there, and you need that capacity. When these salmon take a run, you gotta have that line capacity. So, oh wow. You can't horse these fish in. You gotta play them out. And this, folks, is gonna be a nice salmon. He looked a little bit dark already. So like I say, even though it's September, these fish are starting to turn color. They get nice, they get dark when they get in that spawning mode. But even it looks like though that big eyeball has triggered a bite on this Stingeye, And as you notice, the hook is right at the eyeball, so when you get a hit, you're gonna set the hook pretty good, because they're gonna attack that eyeball, attack the head. Oh. If you've never fished for salmon, folks, you got to give it a try. Whether it's Alaska, Niagara, or wherever you may be, Great Lakes, or even the landlocked salmon, the kokanee, are a lot of fun. Just salmon fishing in general. Big, strong, powerful fish. And I'm running 20-pound test line, so I mean, you can't muscle these fish regardless. Oh, keep out of that rock. Oh, big rock there. I gotta be, oh boy. Scraping up against the rocks right there. I just got him out. Just got him out. He was just scraping up against that one rock there. And that's the other reason for a fluorocarbon leader. It's a little more abrasion resistant. Oh, here he is. Oh, that's a nice fish. Actually, he's still quite silvery, folks. He's just starting a little bit dark, you could see, but he's still quite silver. All right. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back to my original spot to land this fish. Oh yeah. Let me go down here. Okay, if I can get him turned around. Oh, gorgeous salmon, folks. Isn't that a beautiful fish? Look at that. Look at that. That's actually a nice fish. Wow, I thought it was smaller. That's not small. That's a nice salmon. All right, we're going to keep him in the water, because I am going to try to release this fish. All right, now get him out. We're going to snap a quick photo, and I'm going to get my needle nose, I think. What I do is I keep my needle nose handy. It's just easier to remove the hook, snap a quick photo, and then we're going to release this guy. But what a beauty. Well, let's take a look at him, folks. Well, so much for him being a small one, eh? He nailed that gold. He just nailed it really good. Look at that fish. That's a beautiful, beautiful salmon, folks, right there. Very, very nice catch for the boatless angler. Look, he wants to go. We're going to let this guy go. But look at this fish, folks. Hey, gorgeous fish. Look at that. Nice hook jaw on him. Okay, let's get him this way. Oh, he wants to go already. All right. See you later, Mr. Salmon. Beautiful release. Okay. Well, folks, I'll tell you, salmon fishing. If you get an opportunity, if you've never done it, you got to give it a try. September it starts, October is prime. But regardless, just get out there, get a line wet, cast a line, and have some fun. I got all day ahead of me. Looks like the clouds are going to hang around for a bit, and I love this cloudy weather. But I want to thank you ever so much for tuning in to today's episode of Thundermist Fishing Tips. And as always, folks, until next time, good luck and good fishing. That was great.